Okay, Taylor. So I've got your presentation right here, and I want to talk about it a little bit, and then let me see. We've got the 3 pages. So my main thing with the presentation is that it's all visual. You're not describing anything. I think a really good idea in in any design presentation is to approach it and develop it with the assumption that your viewer has no idea what they're looking at. So, in other words, and that holds true even in a studio design setting or an agency setting, because you're going to be reporting to an art director, and that art director is typically working on, 10, 15, sometimes even more designers and projects at the same time. So if designer X is tasked with the Oslo project for whatever specific week, and you take the work to the art director, and the art director makes his recommendations, and then you report back to your art director later on that week, let's say Thursday, and you show the art director this, the art director is going to say, well, what? Give me some background. Show me what I'm looking at. Give me the story. And that's what we're looking at this week, is the story. So, and that's what I think is missing from your presentation this week. Now, last week I went back here because I want to make sure I got everything here in the video. So I went back to last week, and I'm looking at the story, and you've developed the story here quite nicely, I might add, explaining the relevance of the visual presentation as it is associated with the concept. Okay, and you've done that with all three, and I think that's just really great. Of course, well, actually, before we go there, and you did something else too. You described how your pictogram, the ones that you have chosen to move forward with, are associated with this visual and your interpretation of this visual, this Northern Light phenomenon. Okay, and that's great, and that's the concept. That's what's driving the project, and that's cool. So everything is awesome up to this point. Now we move into the presentation of your final logo, which your presentations really should be getting more and more detailed as you progress through the project, and as you start arriving towards the end and the completion of the project. Each presentation should include information from the previous week. That, I think, makes sense. I'm going to show you an example in a second so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to show you a classmate's work, but it's nothing that it's right in discussion board, so it's something that you're going to see anyway. So I'll just share that with you just in 1 second. But anyways, I think this is great how you described this. This is the story. So that's great. You have the story behind the logo. You have the story behind the pictograms. We are ready to rock and roll, okay? But you need to show that story and those pictograms, and even develop that story further in your final presentation of your logo and pictograms. That makes sense. That only makes sense. Let's look at the work itself. This color black is different than this color black. So this has probably been placed. It has probably been placed. And what happens is you probably didn't use a rich black in this. So just so you know, you might have to go back and adjust that black. Just because, I can see it. I hope you can in the recording here, but this black was more like a gray, unless that's your intent. I'm not real sure. I really didn't see any address to color in the presentation, so that's something that I would have liked to have seen as well. Are you sure you want to present this in black? Color is extremely powerful. It's a wonderful tool for a designer to use, especially when communicating to international audiences. Again, let me repeat that real quick. Color is just a wonderful tool to utilize when communicating with international audiences. For that reason, I recommend that you start using color in your logo moving forward. Start doing some color studies. Associate this with your research. Now, using black, the dangers of that is that a lot of your sub graphics, banners, building graphics, environmental graphics, etc., are going to end up being in black, and that's very stark, and that's very impersonal, and we'll see that in 1 second. Okay, so you've got your ticket, and you've got, okay, so this is great, but let's look at the logo itself before we move forward. The mark itself is too small, in relation to Oslo and the Olympic symbol. I think this composition right here is wonderful, very nice. This is two things. It's tilted this way, so it looks like it's going to topple over, and that's just the architecture of it. This thing should be straight up and down. And it may be a digital rendition, but it does need to follow the integrity of contemporary design technique in terms of elements and principles of design. So that said, we're going to look for balance here, okay? And the way we're going to achieve balance is by reorienting this so that it stays straight up. It also is going to resemble the Olympic torch, which is a very cool thing. And the double entendre here is that visually is that, no, that's not the Olympic torch. That is, and then you go into where your research takes over and telling us that that's the culmination of lighting of the Olympic torch and the Northern Lights. So, okay, now color, yes, it is a winter event. Think of the cool end of the spectrum, all right? Finally, want to take you a look at one of your classmates' presentations. This is where you should be right now, and I'm just saying, okay, like I said, I'm not doing anything other than taking this. This is available for your view in the discussion board, so all I'm doing is showing this for your convenience. But this is a wonderful presentation, and I think that your work could be at this point right now. I think it should be. So just so you know where we're at and where your competition stands. She even has this designer even has a website. So this is just fabulous, and this is just a start. So, okay, so think about it, and just, take a look. I want you to do this. Just be objective. Take a look at this presentation. You're the employer, okay? You're looking at this presentation, and then you look at this presentation. Now, which one is more engaging? You see what I'm saying? And that's where I want you to think about taking your visual presentation, okay? Thanks, Taylor. Good job. Any questions? Get with me. Okay, thanks, man.